podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
All right, how's it going, Tom?
Yeah, good, thank you. How about you?
All very good. Yep, it's still on the road trip. It's been quite lengthy. Yeah, you get a sense of how big America is when you start traveling around it. So we have gone from right in the north to right in the south. That's 1,250 miles or so.
Wow.
They've got to drive back up very shortly.
Wow. How long has it taken you from, like, say, if you would say door to door?
Well, we took 4 days to do the trip down to Los Angeles, and we're hanging out in LA for the week and then heading back at the weekend.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Survived the storm, innit? And we've got this miserable rain back in the UK. April showers.
By the way, it's freezing in LA, so I know there are some listeners in LA, so who keep in touch. But yeah, it's really cold.
It looks very bright from what I see here, but
I'll
take your word.
Yeah, bright was not, his last 10 minutes, was it? Against Sevilla.
Oh my God. I felt like the last 30 minutes were particularly bright, really. And I'm including Ten Hag in that as well. Like, we're recording on the Friday, so Ten Hag's had a little bit more to say. And he said a lot of the substitutions were forced, which
it was a bit odd, wasn't it?
I don't buy that.
Well, he said he had to take Bruno off because the referee warned him that he was close to a red card. I mean, for a start, Bruno got the softest yellow ever.
Oh my God.
It was one of those you see that a lot in La Liga. Like, every handball is a yellow card, even though they've changed the handball rule. And so, it's really not about intent anymore. It's just very, very, very soft. But also, you got to trust your players, haven't you?
Exactly. Well, he wasn't captain, I guess, because Harry Maguire came on, but you got to be trusting that kind of player. And then he said the same about Anthony as well. But actually, the battle that Anthony was having with Acuna was actually, like, in quite good spirits. It was competitive, but it was, like, in a fun, competitive way. Like, they were whispering to each other, and, like, the crowd were getting involved. And you could tell, like, both players were really enjoying it. And I don't particularly think that, like, Anthony was in trouble of being sent. And the problem was that bringing Palestri, Elanga on in those two positions, and then obviously I've seen him described as King Kong or Godzilla up top, Veghorst. Like, but to be fair, I think that both of those two were actually quite nimble in comparison to this lad. Like, having that as a front three is just, well, it's like Burnley levels, isn't it? Like, it's that level, and like, it's the reason why we couldn't get forward in the pitch, because those three, like, two of them have got potential, one of them obviously hasn't, but like they just lose the ball all the time, and every type of position. Whereas, when you have a proper front three, then you don't, and that's why just again and again the ball just kept coming back, and we just invited this pressure on ourselves needlessly in the last half an hour.
Yeah.
It was really weird, because when you saw, like, it all happening, you were like, Ten Hag feels really confident here that I know, like, Sevilla were terrible for 80 minutes of that game, but they're still a side that can cause you problems. They've still got a lot of quality. And it felt to me, just, and I know, like, Ten Hag's made some excuses after the game, but it felt to me like he just got way too complacent.
Yeah, it's strange thinking around the substitutions and the yellow cards. I like you, I don't really buy that excuse. It seemed really odd. And was it complacency? Or maybe. I mean, United were in total control. No, I just thought it was not just control as in United had a lot of possession, but tactically in control. There was a lot of movement. Martial really adds movement.
Yeah.
Sabitzer playing at number 10 was basically a false nine. He was the man running through into spaces as Martial pulled wide. Bruno in a deeper role was playing in a controlled manner. United were very functional through that midfield, scored those 2 early goals, and the substitutions just completely changed the momentum. I mean, you could almost feel it with the Sevilla side that, this is our chance. They were broken.
And also, like, at the same time as we were making changes which were really significantly hurting us, they were making changes that were significantly bettering them, like and Nesri coming on, and players who basically should have started, really, because they seemed to rest a lot of players for their weekend game against Valencia, which is an odd choice for a team who are who love this
down La Liga,
and who love this competition so much. It felt like a really odd choice from the new coach, but the momentum shift was just crazy. And we've spoken a lot and spoken really highly of Ten Hag's use of substitutions this season, but that was just crazy. Like, after 60 minutes, 70 minutes, I'm sure I wasn't the only one who was getting frustrated that we weren't going for the third goal. Like, the players just looked complacent out there. Like, the same players who had started the game and started really well. Even in the first half, to be honest, it felt like they just dropped off as soon as we started playing well. And like I say, I was getting frustrated. Why aren't we killing this game off? Why aren't we killing this tie off? Get 3 or 4-0 up and kill the tie. And then the fact that we ended up drawing the game, my God. I didn't even foresee it being like that. I was more thinking, I don't want to go to Sevilla with a 2-0 with the tie still in the balance. Never mind 2-2. It didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, United should have been completely way out. This tie should have been over. So much control there. I don't know whether it was the changes, complacency, bit of both, but it put a spring in Sevilla's step that they didn't have. United stopped doing the things they were doing, which is the movement. They were doing, even from the back, actually, they were baiting the press really well, keeping the ball a lot, and had quite a lot of sequences of passes in this game where they were trying to pull Sevilla out of position, and then using their midfield triangle really, really well to get around the pivot and create chances and create space up front. And then Martial does that so much better than Weghorst. His ability to move into spaces or to beat a man with a run, and then it just all stopped. So they weren't composed at the back. I mean, obviously Varane going off at half-time didn't help shortly after. And Harry Maguire has a very different level of ability on the ball, I'd say. And like all these changes at the same time, or within the space of 15 minutes, kind of completely flipped around the momentum, and United stopped doing the things that were really hurting Sevilla. It is mental. I mean, obviously, the 2 huge pieces of luck for Sevilla's goals, but the momentum had shifted without the goals.
Yeah,
it's not like they weren't in the game in the way that they weren't at all for the first 45 minutes.
And the first goal is a complete encapsulation of that complacency as well from Malacia. I was about to say he didn't know that Navas was behind him, but he surely did. He almost didn't think that Navas would get there. I mean, Navas is 35, 36 or whatever. He used to be quick, and I guess he's not as much anymore. But you've just 5 minutes to go in a tie like that, just get it under control and clear it. It just like I say, encapsulates the complacency that was in the whole team at the time. And also, I feel like the game encapsulates a lot of what United have been over the last few years. Is when we do start to play well at times, we don't have that ruthlessness about us where we just go and kill a game off. It's almost like we think in their heads, we're too good for this. Like we've got a couple of goals up now, and we don't even need to try as much as we were at the start, because we're so much better than these. We can just play it. We can just coast during the game, because, like I say, it didn't just happen in the second half. It was kind of coasting towards the end of the first half, really, and obviously it dropped off significantly in the second half as well. But it feels to me there's certain players where I think they almost get arrogant and think, I am too good. We are too good. We can just play at a half speed. And I think also like the fact that we've been starting games really, really fast recently. I also wonder if that is playing into the fact that as the game goes on, we can't maintain that level of intensity, and then we just drop off significantly. I mean, you see it with Liverpool. Like Liverpool over the past 3 or 4 years, well, longer under Klopp, they start games really, really fast, but towards the last 10, 15 minutes of each half, they usually die down. And I wonder if that's also the case of us at the moment, where as we're starting games so fast, which is great to see, but I guess there is maybe just going to be an inevitable drop-off a little bit.
Mm. And they've played a lot of games.
Yes,
so,
of course.
I mean, they've played, yeah. I did notice that, was it the Palmeiras manager complaining that they had so many, like I don't know why this reference came about, but he was like, Ten Hag shouldn't complain about games. We've got 9 games in the last month. I mean, United have played, how many is it now? Is it 20 since the World Cup? Oh no, more than that. It's like, it's an insane amount of games. And Ten Hag, as we've noted previously, is not a big fan of making large amounts of rotation.
Apart from last night.
Apart from last night, yeah. And it's definitely catching up with some players. Although, I mean, the ones that have played the most, Rashford, De Gea, Bruno, there's different reasons why, well, Bruno will be missing the next game. He wants to play all the time. Rashford obviously picked up an injury. Ten Hag referenced the amount of games he's played. I mean, I do think it's catching up with some of the players.
Yeah.
And then come all the injuries as well. And yeah, aside from the intensity levels dropping with fatigue, so come the injuries. And it's very hard to like map them one-to-one, but it feels like there's some inevitability about it. And like to crucial players as well, which is absolutely brutal. I mean, without Rashford, it's sometimes hard to spot where the goals are going to come from. Obviously, a new number 10, Marcel Sabitzer, came out with a couple last night. Great finish for the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. Making runs and shooting. Good at that. But yeah, just such crucial injuries. Rashford, Martinez, Varane. That's going to take such a toll. It's hard to, obviously, like when United concede a goal against Brighton in the 80th minute of the FA Cup semi-final and they knock us out, we'll look to, and Harry Maguire doesn't spot the runner or something like that, we'll look to these injuries as being rather crucial.
Yeah, it's really frustrating as well because I was thinking at the weekend, it was all looking quite rosy. 80 minutes gone in that game against Everton. Christian Eriksen has just come off the bench. We've got Casemiro back in the next game. Rashford at this point isn't injured. And then you look on like 5 days later, Varane and Martinez, don't know how long they're going to both be out for. Rashford, don't know how long he's going to be out for. Shaw's obviously injured for a little bit, potentially back this weekend. But all of a sudden, like it looked like it was rosy again regarding injuries. And yeah, now we're in a lot of trouble. And you think I would have said I was confident going into Sunday, but there's part of me that's not particularly confident. Like Forest have been okay at home this season. They're not in great form. They're in absolutely terrible form, but they're not going to roll over. We're going to have Harry Maguire and Lindelof at the back. So God help us. Then having Sevilla again next week away from home in a tie that should have been completely finished. And then Brighton next Sunday.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to feel confident about any of it. It really is. I think I put it in my very occasional newsletter, which I always promise myself I'll write every week and then don't. So my very occasional newsletter, I was noting about like how much on the edge this season is, like the fine margins between what could be a very successful season. I mean, United could still qualify for the Champions League, win the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the Europa League. Could still do all those things, and you can make a case for that for sure. And that would be an incredibly successful season, and absolutely not a plastic treble, the real treble. And if United did that, it'd be amazing. And we'll look back on this season as the turnaround, the season United are back. Or it could go horribly wrong. I mean, like you can most definitely now make a case that Sevilla knock us out of the Europa League next week. Brighton are a very good side. That is are marginal United favourites for that
Yeah,
one.
marginal.
I mean, very marginal, especially with the sort of intermittent form and injuries and so on, fatigue. I still think we're just about favourites ahead of, I mean, it's a 3-way tie, isn't it, between Newcastle, Spurs and United for that fourth Champions League spot, third and fourth, I think. But it definitely could go wrong with it. Play Spurs soon. Also have to play Chelsea. I know they're not playing very well at the moment, but we play Villa and Brighton in the league as well. So there's some tough games. You can definitely make a case for United like missing out on all of this, and then it would be a disastrous season.
Yeah.
Despite the sense of progress for most of it.
Yeah, and it's really, I know we know this already, but it's really just showcasing the lack of depth that we have. Like you think of, well, obviously last night is a case in point, but then you think of like Sunday, like where do we, like what team do we really play? Like how fit is Martial going to be after starting his first game on Thursday night? The last thing I want to see is Weghorst in that starting 11 again. Yeah. Maguire and Lindelof at centre half again. Oh, God, it's so depressing all of a sudden. Like and like I say, like last night after about an hour, I was feeling so confident about United's chances. I was looking at the other results, like saying because Roma were losing at the time and Leverkusen were losing at the time. I was thinking, Roma just lost actually. Leverkusen were losing to Union from Belgium. I was thinking, oh, this is really opening up. This is gonna happen. And yeah, it's a really good point just how like finely balanced this season is, and I think mostly because of the lack of depth and the proliferation of not good enough players that we have in this squad. Really, like you look at the options to come off the bench last night. Palestri's done okay this season, but he's not shown enough to be a United player. Elanga the same, he's gone backwards this season, obviously. And then just a few injuries, and there's not enough there. And we're really lucky that Sabitzer came, and because without him, I'm not saying that Sabitzer has been the saviour at all, but it gives us a real good player where we're really struggling for them in a lot of positions right now. And if Martial can't start at the weekend, I'd probably play Sabitzer up top.
Well, he basically did.
Well, exactly.
He was false nine, wasn't he?
I mean, we were saying this early in the season when Weghorst was playing. Like, when Weghorst was playing in a 10 as well, and Sabitzer was on the bench, it's like, why wouldn't you play Sabitzer? But yeah,
he's good on the ball. He makes those runs, third man runs, and we know he's a good finisher. And honestly, it's not the craziest thing in the world to think about doing that, or Bruno, or like there are many other options that keep United more dynamic than playing Weghorst there. I'm very reluctant to question Ten Hag because most of the time he seems to get it right, and he comes up with these really innovative solutions. So Bruno playing in this sort of floating 8. I mean, he was even deeper at the weekend, wasn't he? He was almost number 6. I didn't expect that. I know we've talked about Bruno dropping back and the options there because we talked in the context of Jadon Sancho playing at 10. Maybe, we kind of speculated about it, but he likes these multifunctional, flexible players. He's called that out. Actually, he was talking about the fullbacks after the game, saying, "I like them when they can get into these different positions." And Sam Malacia, God, tripping over my words there. Malacia does that very well. Drops inside, makes an extra man in midfield, allows Bruno to peel left a lot yesterday. Ambazaka doesn't do it quite as well on the right. He's not quite as comfortable doing that, but all right. Dalot very much is. And anyway, the point being that Ten Hag likes these flexible players. He's very flexible. He has lots of solutions. He's very innovative, I think. So I'm very reluctant to kind of criticize because I think he's been, I think it's fair to say, the best coach we've had post Fergie.
Yeah.
And but he's got a blind spot with Weghorst. Seems very odd, that one. And he had a blind spot on the substitutions last night.
Yeah. I guess like Weghorst does do a lot of. I almost feel like it's a decoy striker, really, because he's like he makes the runs which allow others to be better, and there is a lot to be said for that kind of thing. And like if Sabitzer plays up top, like you're not going to get that from him in a lot of regards. And I guess like from a tactical perspective, like you do get a lot. It was just so frustrating for Man United to be had to have someone like that. And I guess that's just the state of the club at the moment, really.
Well, it is, and I'm hoping that. I mean, you might have seen the statement from Must that they put out, urging the process to speed up. I don't think, much as the leaks to the press have said otherwise, I don't think Joel and Avi give a crap about United and what's best for the club, and it's most definitely not best for the club that this is dragging on, because I think it will impact United's ability to plan for the summer.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, FFP will have probably an even bigger impact on the exact amount of money United can spend and sales, but planning is crucial, and new owners likely write off some debt, inject some cash, which they can do quite a bit actually under the rules, at least the Premier League rules. And it will impact Ten Hag's ability to repair some of the weaknesses in the squad, which are becoming evident now. And it's that process. And if the sale isn't concluded by the summer, you can almost put the rebuild back a year, I think. I'd be really surprised if you'd like to spend that much money. I mean, the Glazers have never injected equity. The only time cash has come into the club that is like non-generated is when they've upped the revolving credit facility with Bank of America. So it's just increasing the amount of debt, and that's what United have used to pay for players. We could really get into a cycle of doom here, and it's not really we're not really there at the moment, but it's just there's like some warning signs on there on and off the pitch.
Yeah, and when you see like Newcastle getting stronger as well, like this is a real must summer, really. Like you've got Chelsea who are in transition, you've got Liverpool who are in transition, you've got Newcastle who are definitely going to get better this summer, especially if they qualify for the Champions League. You've got Tottenham who might come back if they appoint the right coach, and then you've got, I think Arsenal will probably drop off again next season, but they're still going to be strong, and obviously City are going to be as strong as ever. So the race for, well, even just to get in the top four next season is going to be really difficult. And if we can't rebuild properly, it just leaves Ten Hag with so many problems. And also the fact that the press are always just going to be out for United. So if progress isn't seen by them, and the press act in extremes as well. Like we're talking about doom and gloom here. Like United lose a couple of games. Like if we lose on Sunday, it's going to be all like crisis. So in Man United, and we go out on next Thursday, it's going to be crisis. Brighton, it's going to be crisis. And if that continues into next season and progress isn't made, despite the fact that we haven't built in the summer, it's still going to be very, very difficult for him to even make the season. Like these are kind of things that sound outlandish, like him getting sacked next season, but it's not that outlandish if things don't go right.
I think he's got the opportunity to walk away. Actually,
yeah.
I mean, I'm 100% confident that he is in very high demand across some of the elite clubs in Europe, and a number of them will be available. I mean, even potentially the Real Madrid job will be available in the summer. Quite likely, actually. And yeah, he will have options, Ten Hag. And he seems like an intelligent man. And I wonder whether he would make the mistake that other United coaches have made, which is to believe somehow that the Glazer family would do the right thing by the club. And appoint the right kind of people in the right kind of places, but also spend the money when it's really needed. I just wonder whether there's a thought that he might walk away if he didn't get what he wanted. Anyway, this is like a lot of speculation, but I think it's there, right? This sales process is taking. Well, it was November they announced the strategic review, quote unquote. Awful word salad of nonsense, isn't it? Yeah, double speak corporate bullshit nonsense. I say that as someone who works in a corporate, but sales process is taking months and months and months. We saw Thomas Ziliakos, I'm probably mispronouncing that, the sort of third bidder come out this week, did an interview with the BBC in which he was he's basically withdrawn his bid, said he's still interested, but the Glazers aren't actually at the negotiating table. They just keep coming back and saying, hey, make higher bids. There's no actual negotiation going on, which was kind of interesting insight into what's happening here.
And scary insight.
Scary, yeah. And so there's this kind of that's shadowing over everything, and of course United blew it on the pitch the other night, so we're a bit frustrated about that. But these things coincide. Like, we know we got a great coach who gets most things right, not always, has a very clear idea about what he wants. Clearly has a very clear idea about the type of player he wants in those positions to get to where he wants to take the team, and he won't be able to do that without support from the executive management of the club around him. And partly that's about money, but partly it's also about planning and negotiations. And like most clubs will be planning for the summer already. And United may well be, but they won't know what their budget is.
Yeah.
And so,
I think
it's all very frustrating.
Yeah, and I think what kind of makes it a little bit more frustrating is the fact that we're not that far away, really. It feels like we're like 3 or 4 really good signings away from challenging next season. Like you say, because we do have a good coach for the first time. It's just that without those 3 or 4, we have a squad like we do right now. And we're relying on youth players to get us through big games. And having 3 or 4 top quality players in whatever position, like, I guess you want obviously another striker, potentially another centre midfielder to play alongside Casemiro, and a right back. Like, you get those 3 like top quality, a couple of more squad players. I'd probably add Sabitzer on a full-time basis if he's only going for like 10 or 15 million. And then all of a sudden, like, we're in really good place. And I think that's what's really frustrating now, because it's like, not now or never, but because we've been in this position for 9 years, 10 years, that it feels like just as we're about to get back, like, this annoying situation is just holding us up from getting there. And
and the competitive dynamic in the Premier League, as you noted, it's going to be really significant. I mean, you basically got the big 6 plus Newcastle, and I don't expect Liverpool to be as bad next season. They will buy the central midfielder, and refresh the squad. They really do drop. I mean, it's a feature, not a bug, of Klopp. When his squad burns out, they have a disastrous season. This is, I think, 5 times now it's happened during his career. And that's not actually including the season when they made the top 4 by the goalkeeper scoring in the 98th minute at West Brom or whatever it was, right? So I expect they'll improve next season. Chelsea, is hard to say exactly what's going to happen there. I guess it depends on who they appoint as their full-time next coach. And if it's Lampard, please and thank you. Yes, that would be very good.
Oh my God.
Less competition. That'd be awesome. I doubt it. But
they've scored, I think, I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, it could well be 7 trying to fit into 4 places in the Champions League. So just the level of competition is extremely intense. I don't think there's anything else to say on the sales process. We just don't know anything, really. It seems that was almost the most illuminating interview we've had so far. That one, just into what is happening and frustration of the parties.
Yeah, and really scary as well, because, like, I know there's a lot of people who don't think the Glazers will sell. I do think they will, but it's the fact
they have to sell something.
It's the fact that it just feels like it's going to take. They're just going to sit and wait until they get the right price. And that's the biggest fear for me. Like, we're just going to be in this like purgatory, just sitting and waiting while the club while the club suffers at the hands. Like, we've already suffered one transfer window where we've had to sign some lad from Burnley who plays like Godzilla, and thankfully we've been able to get Sabitzer, who's actually really helped us, I think, especially with like Casemiro and Eriksen being out. But having another summer transfer window like that, while everyone else around us is just strengthening. Scary thought.
Yeah, I don't know whether you noticed that Old Trafford wasn't selected as part of the bid process for Euro 2028. And there's been a lot of commentary about that. The official reason given is that United can't guarantee that the stadium will be available because of construction works. I mean, that is 5 years away, by the way. I mean, you'd think if they're going to do a lick of paint like they did last summer, very odd, bright red paint, but lick of paint, that they'd be able to get that done inside 5 years.
There are literal stadiums that haven't been built that are on there.
Exactly. So, but part of it, I think, is the lack of confidence that the club has that any of this will actually get done. Of course, if there is a sale, depending on the buyer, we could see full redevelopment or a brand new stadium. I mean, I think all these things are actually on the cards as part of the review process they've had. So I think it's brand new stadium, rotation of the stadium, and redevelopment. The things. The rotation is basically brand new stadium, right? It's just a footprint, that triangle of land they've got there between the train tracks and the canal. Yeah, it just doesn't suit the orientation of the stadium. But anyway, yes, you'd think inside 5 years they'd be able to finance, design, knock down and build, or whatever maybe not the knock down, build or redevelop. If you like the show, the way you can support us best is by leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And it really doesn't matter what you say in that review either. You can say you'd rather we talked about Manchester City and Liverpool. Just hit those 5 stars. Many thanks. All right, this game at the weekend. How are Forest doing at the moment? It's incredibly tight at the bottom, right? They're like the one club in the bottom half of the Premier League that have actually kept faith with their manager. And it may or may not pay off. They are currently 18th.
Yeah, and they haven't won for a long time. I'm thinking, 10 games or something? Like they've had a couple of draws. Like they had a really good draw. That's I was saying, they're quite good at home. They drew against City not that long ago. I know like City battered them, but still, that's pretty remarkable. They've beaten Liverpool there. They've drawn against Chelsea. They almost held Newcastle to a draw at home. Like, it's not going to be easy, but they are in good form. They've got a lot of injuries themselves. I mean, they signed 30 players, so I mean, at least they've got the squad to deal with those injuries. But they still have got like Andre Ayew playing for them, starting games up top on his own on some occasions. So, like, they're not great, but I think it's good that they've stuck by Steve Cooper. Like when he took over last season, they were bottom of the league in the Championship, and he got them up in the same season, which is absolutely incredible. Like especially for a club like Forest, they're a little bit like Leeds that were just stuck down there for ages. A big club who, I guess, their fans would rightfully think that they should be in the top division. So there's so much history and baggage at that club. So to be able to take them up is really impressive. So, and that's...
Well, they won their European Cup. I mean,
twice, back to back.
Twice, yeah. That's obviously a club that should be in the top division.
Exactly, yeah. And the fans absolutely love Steve Cooper, and I think that's the only reason why Marinakis hasn't got rid of him yet, is because he knows that the fans are just going to completely... I'm not say lose it, because Marinakis as well, like has got them to the top division, spent loads of money, but they won't be happy losing Steve Cooper. I think a lot of, because I live in Nottingham, so I know a lot of Forest fans. A lot of Forest fans say to me that I'd rather just have Steve Cooper. We get relegated and we have Steve Cooper to try and get us up next season, because he's probably going to be the best man for it. And I think that's probably what the Forest board also think at this point, to be honest. Like, they are struggling. They've got a really tough run of games as well. If you look at their running, I'd probably consider them one of the favourites to go down. But it's still not going to be easy on Saturday.
They play us,
Sunday.
Then Liverpool, then Brighton, then Brentford. And then, so Chelsea, Arsenal, and Palace. I mean, Palace
not ideal, that is it?
It's really not ideal. I mean, Palace, that could be a really crucial game. There's 6 points between 18th and 12th. So Palace definitely aren't out of this. No. Yeah, it only takes a few results for a team to get themselves out of trouble. Yeah, I don't remember the last time the Premier League sort of relegation fight was this tight.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's incredibly tight, yeah. Yeah, incredibly competitive at the top and the bottom. So,
but, yes, I mean, like one win one win really catapults you up there as well.
Makes a big difference.
Huge,
yeah. I mean, we had a couple of comfortable wins over them in the League Cup and the home game. When was the home game against them? It was
Boxing Day, I think.
Boxing Day, was it? Yeah, it was around Christmas, wasn't it? That was 3-0, wasn't it? I'm forgetting.
I think
it's like 2 3-0s and 1 2-0 this season.
Yeah, I think it was the first game back from the World Cup.
Right. Yeah, so that suggests some level of comfort, but we will be out without Rashford, Martinez and Varane for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno will be available, but not against Sevilla next week. You wonder whether Martial can start again. I mean, he hasn't completed 90 minutes in 19 months now. And that was a League Cup defeat to West Ham, was it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So probably he can't. So it could be a much changed side. Presumably, I mean, Casemiro managed to not get himself sent off. Oh, by the way, we didn't talk about that, where he took the studs in the shin from Eric Lamela. Much worse than the one he got sent off for the other week.
It really was. Yeah. And they did, I think it actually did go to VAR. It did go to VAR, didn't it?
The VAR checked him, was like, yeah, it looks fine to me.
Wow.
Got the ball there. I mean, wow.
It's crazy. You think if that happens as well,
anyway.
Like the whole world looks different. The butterfly effect. We'd be singing from the trees if they'd have got sent off. We'd probably won 3 or 4-0. Martinez wouldn't have got injured. Varane might not have got injured.
That's it. It's all the VAR's fault.
It is.
I don't know who he was, but whoever it was, your fault. I went off on a tangent then. It should be comfortable at the weekend, but there will be a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Inevitably.
Yeah.
So
I really can't see it being comfortable. Like I've predicted us winning a lot of times this season, and I don't know. League Cup final, I was really confident. This week, I am not at all. I look at the team. I look at Lindelof and Maguire. It's just traumatic times with those two at the back, and that crowd is going to be so up for it. And like I say, they're decent enough at home, and they'll put up really good fight. And we haven't got Rashford. I mean, Weghorst scored last time we were at the City ground, so they're not that good. Like, jeez,
it's going to be a pub quiz question in years to come. Who are the 2 teams that Val Weghorst managed to score against in 35 games for Manchester United?
Wow. Yeah, maybe we'll score again if we start. But yeah, it's going to be really tough. And I think I'm sure the players know that themselves. But if Martial can give us 60 minutes, I think that really changes the dynamic of this team immensely. Because if we've got Val playing in without Rashford beside him as well, like Sancho and Anthony, I just don't think that front three is particularly exciting or too dangerous.
And you start to look, this time of the season, you start to look at every single game and all the results of the teams around you, and the results more than performances start to really matter, even though 3 points counts as 3 points at whatever time of the season. But the pressure starts to ratchet up, and you look at Spurs are playing Bournemouth. Bournemouth not in great shape at all at the moment. Newcastle go to Villa, so that is a tough game for them. But Newcastle seem to be pulling out a result every week.
Yeah, and they're playing well as well. They're playing well.
They are playing well. Yeah, they really are. They seem to gain some confidence from their cup final win against us the other week. So the one that St. James is.
God, I hate him.
But yeah, I mean, God, everything about the club, just everything.
Always.
I didn't used to hate them.
I know. Sorry, I did.
You've always hated them.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I didn't even hate them for the 2 seasons they were rivals under Keegan. Like, it was a sporting rivalry, but it wasn't really more than that. But they do. It's interesting. Recently, they seem to, at least Newcastle Twitter, seem to be like trying to ratchet up some kind of rivalry, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You've always had a thing against them.
I don't know. I don't even know why. I remember because I was 6 when we beat them in the FA Cup final. Remember Alan Shearer's face after the final? I don't know if anyone else remembers it, but he was just there like clapping. And I remember at the time, I watched it with my parents. My parents were like saying some nasty words about Alan Shearer through the TV.
Were they saying he was unhappy and his parentage and the location of his birth?
Something similar. They were like, oh, Alan Shearer doesn't look happy. that's unfortunate. Ever since then, I've just hated Alan Shearer and hated everything that Newcastle stand for, and they stand for a lot worse than they do like now than they used to. So yes, I absolutely detest them now, like especially with that Saudi thing. I know a lot of Newcastle fans who haven't been particularly vocal in their disdain for the ownership as well, so it just makes me hate them even more. Like most of the fans, really. Well, apart from a few, like the guy you had on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that's a really interesting conversation with him, and I kept in touch. And there are some United fans in touch with him and that group. And there's I don't know how sustained this will be, but we'll see. There is an effort to provide some counterweight to the potential Qatari bid. We'll see. Anyway, sport washing works, weaponizing fans work. We saw in midweek.
Oh my God.
Fans unfurled that banner. A lot of weird pushback on that. I thought, like, well, they've won the Bundesliga for 10 years in a row. If you think that is a gotcha answer, you know nothing about German football culture. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. But City fans responded by singing about Sheikh Mansour. I mean, like, what world are we in, folks?
Oh my God.
I know you're desperate for success, but the price of that is the soul of football. That sounds really hyperbolic, but it really is. What does football mean to us? We all agree, right, as fans, these are important social institutions. They're more than just a business or just an source of entertainment. If you agree with that premise, and I suspect that 99% of people listening to this would agree, and most City fans would agree, then you can't then go, yes, and a state-run entity is a good thing. Right? You've just ended the social aspect. Like, you can paper over it. You can pretend it's some kind of ESG thing. I mean, they do at City, right? They see fans as a stakeholder to keep happy, right? Yeah. And they do a lot of overt sort of the citizens brand thing, right? But it's all fake. It's part of the process. And anyway, they've done a very good job of weaponizing fans there. That's happened with Newcastle as well, and it'll happen if United are taken over by Qataris, and it's a very sad state, I think.
It's not even just football, is it? It's obviously the ramifications outside of football as well. Like, not to get into it, but like it's not just football, and I think
no, of course it's not. That's the whole point.
And like, if you're, and I was about to say I don't know how you live with yourself, but like I just think you just got to have a little bit of integrity, and just this. As a football fan, you don't get many opportunities to actually stand for something which is so far-reaching, and it can have like huge impact. Like, your impact of stopping something happening like this can have a huge impact around the world, far outside of your scope as a citizen in any respect, really. Like what you can do stopping this. Like, if you're a Newcastle fan, stopping that takeover in the first place, or as a City fan, and obviously as a United fan now, like, even voting in an election, like, it doesn't have as much impact as what we could be doing, like protesting against this potential ownership. Yeah. And like I say, the ramifications that has worldwide as well, and the emboldening of the people around the world. If United fans came together as a collective and stood up against this monstrosity, but people don't think like that. They just think, oh no, I'd love my team to win the Premier League again.
Yes, I'd love my team to win the Premier League again, but I don't think it's worth it to become a tool of Qatari state's foreign policy, or any government's foreign policy. Mm-hmm. Awesome. What a great way to end the show.
I think if we'd have won 3 or 4-0, on that VAR thing would have happened, we wouldn't have ended like that, probably.
No, we'd have been in better
Saw
mood.
That VAR.
Although I can quite honestly say that if United had won all 50 games we've played this season, so it's around about that, I would still be against state ownership.
Oh, yeah.
But it probably, yes, we wouldn't be quite as frustrated in our tone. Anyway, let's leave it there. Good to speak to you, Tom.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you at the weekend.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.